We I don't even know if it's even gonna work. I guess we'll see.
It's now time to select your team. And now
I'm gonna make a custom coach.
You'll choose to create a. Now it's time to choose your coach archetype. Your starting choices are motivator, recruiter, and tactician. What is the most important thing to you? Acquiring players, maximizing player development, or putting your team in the best position to succeed?
I don't even know. I'm trying to get this stream to seem like it's working. I don't know if it's working or not. If there's a thing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just gonna do. I'm just gonna start up a new dynasty here with Wake. I'm just planning on probably just doing this after games. Honestly, not gonna be on this a lot, but sure, we'll go with that name. Why not? See our pipeline. We'll just go South Georgia. We, I mean, just, I don't know, man. It was a rough loss tonight there for Wake. Obviously, you know, went to the game. I mean, it was going well for Wake, and then it just kind of just turned into not so good for Wake. Kind of sucks. I thought that Wake. I mean, I thought Wake played a good game. Wake, I thought played a winnable brand of football tonight. They just didn't do it. Dominated the first 3 quarters, and just couldn't do it. I mean, they led the whole game until the 4th quarter. They're up by 14 or by 13 going into the 4th quarter, and they just lost it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they just lost it there in the 4th quarter. I mean, I thought that they I thought that Wake kind of looked a little soft there in the 4th. Which again, I mean, it's not even like it was. I mean, like I thought that UVA was doing a good job of just playing hurry up defense or offense, excuse me, in that one, and really just kind of just couldn't contain them. And credit to them for having a big 4th quarter, and they kind of just outclassed us there in the 4th. It's got to be something though that you gotta get the win there, you know. I'm not gonna recruit just because I'm not planning on doing multiple seasons of this. But I mean, I also don't feel like playing this game either against FCS East. But UVA, I thought, did a good job of just making Wake defend in the 4th, and Wake couldn't do it. Wake just could not stop Virginia in the 4th. Wake dominated the 3rd quarter, and they even dominated the whole game, really. Just couldn't pull it out there in the end, and ultimately, the 4th quarter is a difference between Wake Forest being 2-0 and looking very good for a ball game, and Wake Forest right now kind of sweating it out. As we take a look here at the schedule, I mean, they played A&T there in week 1, and they beat them pretty well. Virginia, they should have beat Virginia, man. They should beat Virginia. And now for our schedule, you go Ole Miss next week. That's gonna be a loss. And they get bye week. Louisiana week 5 is a tough team. Louisiana is a very tough team. One of the better teams from the What are they in the Sun Belt? No, they're not. Are they? I thought they were. But anyways, I mean, Louisiana is one of the better teams. Well, one of the better group of 5 teams, I feel like. Yeah, they are in the Sun Belt. Yeah, I mean, they're one of the best teams in the Sun Belt, in my opinion. And just going to be a tough game. I mean, Wake had struggles last year against a Sun Belt team in Old Dominion who was way worse than Louisiana. Wake had more struggles, I think, last year than they have this year. But then after that, I mean, you go on the road to face NC State. They got absolutely murdered by Tennessee today. I don't think you're going to beat State on the road. State's a good team. Wake just, I think they're getting outclassed. I mean, they got outclassed by Virginia. I don't see how they're going to get any different going to State. I mean, they come back home to face Clemson during the fair. That's going to be a loss. It's Clemson. We haven't beat Clemson since '08. Since before Dabo Swinney got there. And then after that, you go to UConn, which that's the easiest game on the schedule for the whole year, but besides A&T. But on the road at UConn, who knows how that game's going to turn out. And then after that, they go out west to face Stanford. Might be a sneaky game there, I'm not sure. And then they get a bye week, week 10, come back home to face Cal. Cal's playing good football this year. They just beat Auburn. So, I mean, it doesn't get easy. And then after that, they go to Carolina. It's going to be a tough game. At Keenan Memorial Stadium is going to be rough, always rough for Wake. They had a 40-point lead at Carolina in 21, and they blew it in the fourth quarter. And after that, you go to Miami, who's looking like the best team in the ACC currently. So, and after that, they come back home and face Duke for senior day. So really, right now, Wake being 1-1 here after tonight, you're looking at games that I think you should win are, well, games that you have to win, I should say, at UConn, at Stanford, and then versus Duke. Those are 3 games that you've got to win. Louisiana, sorry. Well, I mean, the games, really, if Wake is making a bowl game, they have to be minimum 5-7, which you have to win 4 more games, which is Louisiana, UConn, Stanford, Duke. Those are the easiest games left in the schedule. At home against Cal, I mean, I like the chances against Cal, at home, excuse me, but again, you're playing California that just went into Jordan-Hare Stadium and just knocked off Auburn in real life. So, I mean, it's not going to get any easier for Wake. It's going to get harder for them. It's just going to be tough for Wake, man. I mean, just really needed this one tonight, and they did not get it at all. And now we're forced with having to suffer through Ole Miss next week. That's gonna be terrible, dude. We're gonna get absolutely smoked by Ole Miss. Yeah, we're gonna get smoked by Ole Miss. Excuse me, sorry, but yeah, I mean we're gonna smoke by Ole Miss. That one's not even be close. Ole Miss. Let's take a look here at who they've destroyed this season. Ole Miss might put up 70 on us next week. Yeah, I mean, granted, they played an FCS school, killed them. They played Middle Tennessee State, beat the brakes off of them, I believe. I mean, it's just, they're gonna come here. We're gonna get outnumbered by their fans, and I heard that they're not even bringing many fans anyways, and we're still gonna get outnumbered by them. UVA had no fans every night, and they were still almost way louder than us at times. This bye week I think will be important for Wake, because this is a big part of the schedule right here. Is these games. I mean, if you can take 3 of these 5. I mean, I think you're in a good spot. If you take 3 of these 5, you'll be a minimum of a 4-win team. If you take 3 of these 5, 4-5 going into your second bye week, going into your last 4 games of the year, which is 2 at home, 2 on the road. You gotta expect the 2 on the road are going to be losses. Let's be honest. We're not going to do well at Carolina. We're not going to do well in Miami. And then you've got to hope that you beat Duke. You have to beat Duke. And then you got to hope that you can beat Cal. But again, Cal's playing good football this year. I mean, Cal's just playing good football right now. I mean, they beat the FCS team that they played. Not sure who that was, honestly. And they went into Auburn and beat them, which is a tough place to play. Handled them. And State, again, got killed by Tennessee today. Clemson destroyed App State today. So, and again, it's Clemson. Let's be honest. You're not going to be Clemson, most likely. Carolina destroyed Charlotte today. Charlotte is just not a great team. Miami destroyed Florida A&M today. Florida A&M, again, not a good team either. But again, I mean, these teams, the thing is that they're playing good football. And Wake just is not playing good football. Well, Wake didn't play good football tonight in the fourth quarter, I should say. And I'm just afraid that like these things are gonna boil over into the next week and the next week after that. You know, it's kind of like one bad thing will lead to another. I feel like I understand that Wake has been good in the last few seasons, but they were kind of regressing to where they were before Jamie Newman and Sam Hartman got to Wake. It's just not very good. It's not very good football. That fourth quarter was terrible, and it was an awful game in the fourth quarter alone. They really didn't deserve. I mean, I didn't think Virginia even deserved to even be in the game with Wake, and they beat them. So that's going to show you how bad it was of a game. Virginia's hosting Maryland next week, and Maryland, I think, lost to Michigan State this weekend, didn't they? But I mean, again, you know, you can catch anyone on a bad day, I guess. Notre Dame lost at home today to Northern Illinois, but I mean, the road obviously won't get easier because you're playing a top 5 team in the country in Ole Miss. Louisiana is a scary non-conference game, and then you get into conference play after that, really. I mean, Virginia is conference play. I do get that, but after that, conference play is in full swing after this Louisiana game. You have one more non-con game at UConn. But again, I mean, just not what we needed tonight. It felt like a must-win here in Winston for Wake, and they couldn't get it done. I thought Bachmeier played a solid enough game. I thought Bachmeier did enough for us to win the game. Gave us, I thought, what we needed. Just again, didn't happen. We didn't see Michael Kern tonight, which is honestly probably a good thing. But maybe after this loss, Clawson goes back with the 2 quarterback tandem. I don't know. I hope he keeps with Bachmeier. I thought Bachmeier made some good throws. Also made some pretty rough throws, you know. But I thought that most of his throws tonight were good and were kind of on the money where we wanted them to be. Devon Claiborne, I thought, was very explosive tonight. Had a touchdown there. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, there at the end of the game, Virginia was just sending pressure, and there's no other guy could get open. I mean, and then, you know, like Taylor Moore in there fumbled in the last minute, or well, like late in the game there, to give them the ball back. Luckily, we got to stop it. We just couldn't make anything happen from that. Donovan Green didn't fall on the fumble, and like these are two of those guys on the team. I mean, these are 2 guys that are 5-year plus seniors. I mean, like these guys they're veterans of the program. They should know better, you know. Horatio Fields, I thought, had a great game. Kind of what I've been expecting from him for the past 2 to 3 seasons. Just haven't seen him on the field at all. Deuce Alexander had a big play in the game. I thought he played solid. Micah Mays, didn't see him at all. Walker Merrill's getting way too many snaps, dude. This guy is 6th on depth chart here for a reason. He should just stay there. I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, the play calling, again, is just not fit for ACC football. I mean, it was up until essentially 2022, middle of 22, and then it's become terrible. So I mean, it's just just I don't know where we go from here. I don't know where Wake Forest will go from here. Honestly, just rough. Haven't seen Height much. Devontae Gordon had a costly holding penalty late in the game. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't really say costly because the defense really sold. Offensive line again this year is just not cutting it. I don't feel like they're playing up to what we need them to play at for a slow mesh offense. But again, just going back to what I've been spitballing on here, it's just, I don't know where Wake goes from here. I mean, the offensive line has not played good well, the O-line was a big concern last year, and I think that's partly why Mitch Griffiths was terrible last year for Wake, and I think that's, I mean, and also, I mean, I don't think Griffiths had enough experience under his belt to be starting for us, but also the O-line wasn't very good last year, and so far they're not looking too good this year either. They got outworked by Virginia in the fourth quarter. I mean, the whole team got outworked by Virginia in the fourth quarter, so I don't guess that's really a good discrepancy of it, but just, I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me here, but that's just not good at all. I mean, just didn't play good. I'm not sure where we go from here. Where the line will go from here. Devontae Gordon's gone after this season. It kind of feels like we're just wasting these guys' careers here. I mean, Devontae Gordon, Justine Davis. Justine Davis didn't play tonight. He didn't suit up tonight. Not sure why. I guess he was hurt. But I thought that Kevin Porter Jr. there at the tackle played the game of his life. I mean, if we can get that with Justine Davis on the D line, I mean, we'll have a good we can hopefully get pressure on the quarterback. But again, I mean, I thought that Kevin Porter and the whole rest of the defense kind of just fell off a cliff in the fourth quarter, especially. But the second half, you kind of see it falling off. I mean, they played a great third quarter, but they held the ball a lot, I feel like, in the third quarter, and just didn't get it done. Linebackers are, I mean, I don't think they're playing terrible, but then again, the defense just isn't playing great either. I mean, our secondary got cooked the whole game, man. I mean, we allowed 73 rushing yards and we lost the game, to put that in perspective. And Virginia had almost more yards total than we had, I thought. But I mean, Capone Blue got worked all game. Jamari Glasker got worked on the last drive of the game. At least, it was right in front of me there. He had a terrible PI call. I mean, and like, I understand these guys are gassed because of no huddle, but I mean, make an adjustment somehow. Like the coaching staff needs to do something. Because like Virginia was doing no huddle all game, so I don't understand why we're sitting here in the halftime break, not changing anything up. Maybe you can't change anything up on a huddle. I'm not sure, but it's just it just sucks to lose a game that you dominated the whole game in. I mean, Capone Blue and Glasker got destroyed. I mean, I know Capone Blue was getting whoever offense on him for the whole game. Glasker was awful in the fourth quarter. Jamar Stevenson, I didn't follow him too much. Nick Anderson, I thought did his thing. I mean, he's kind of just he's probably the guy for our defense and our secondary. It's kind of the voice of the defense. He's going to be there in on every play, and that's kind of the guy that you like to have, of course, on the team. But I mean, yeah, just a bad loss. There's no faith in Matt Dennis at all. I mean, you know, that sucks. It sucks to have no faith in a guy like Matt Dennis, who, I mean, there was a couple of field goals that I thought they could have made, but I guess not. And again, I mean, drives just stalled out in the red zone, and you can't have that. Wake kicked too many field goals tonight, and field goals aren't going to you these type of games where you're not getting a stop on defense in the second half. Wake was up 30-17 in the fourth quarter, and they lost 31-30. So I mean, that just goes to show you kind of how the game went. It was a game that they should have won. I mean, they should have won the game, and it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating coming off of last season. I think is what makes it even worse. Is that like last season they were terrible, of course. I mean, it was their worst year in about, I don't know. Let's see. It was their worst year in a while. I mean, they went 4-8 last year. Probably their worst year since really 2015. I mean, 2020 was COVID year. I don't really count that too much, honestly, because it was COVID. They only played 9 games. I don't know. To me, that one is kind of a scratch. But you made 5 straight bowl games, and you won 3 of them at least. I mean, you won the Gator Bowl and the Gasparilla Bowl. I mean, this 2020 season obviously was the best season. 2022 started out amazing, and they just fell off of a cliff. What were they, like 6-0, and they went 2-5 in the last 7 or something, wasn't it? You win 8 games in 2019. Oh yeah. Well, they won all these games here, it looks like. But I mean, yeah, because they made a bowl game there, so they made six straight bowl games, with the exception of 2020. But I don't really, again, count that. But I mean, yeah, man, I feel like last year was probably the worst year since 2015. Clawson took over, I believe. When was it? Was it 2013 he took over? It might have been, or 2014. I can't remember, but I mean, really was one of the worst years under Clawson, and all the Lake fans have been calling for him to get fired. I'm not on that train just yet. Again, because last year I thought was an outlier season. I thought this year would be better, and I felt like this season we were going to be better than I thought we were expected to be. And again, we still can, but I don't know, man. It's these losses here that hurt you, People really didn't have us doing much this season, and honestly, I don't really know how much I can blame them, because we had an awful season last year, of course. Just everything that went wrong, or that could go wrong last season went wrong, and come back this year, had some guys returning, but kind of had a bunch of new guys I thought coming in and getting into some big roles for this team. I mean, you bring in a whole new quarterback in Hank Bachmeier. Mayo Kern was here from last year. Charlie Gilliam was redshirt last season. But you bring in a true freshman in Jeremy Heklinski, who's, I hope, redshirting this season. I don't know if he is or not. I don't know. But you bring back, but you bring back Claiborne and Tate Carney. Claiborne was big to come back because he could have left for the portal. He really could. But bring back Carney, who I think was always going to stay. His brother, Cade Carney, was at Wake forever. So, I felt more confident in him. And like Claiborne stayed. Bring back Taylor Morin, but the cost of that is you lose Keyshawn Williams, who was arguably your best receiver last season. And we'll go up here to where he is now, Indiana. Sorry. I mean, he's our 4th receiver there, but he's one of our best receivers we had, I thought. And to piggyback on losing Keyshawn Williams, you also lose your other top 2 receivers you had last season, and Jamal Banks, who's now at Nebraska, which is again, I mean, I can't fault him for going to Nebraska on, in the portal because he got hella money from there. Let's be honest here. I mean, he got a boatload of cash going to Nebraska because they're rolling it over there. I'm happy for him. Like I'm happy for him leaving and going out to Nebraska. On top of that, you also lose Wesley Grimes, who went to your rival NC State. Not that he was going to be I mean, I had to say he's not going to be a key contributor because he probably could have been, but he didn't play the most amazing football last season. I'd say, not that I watched every game, but the games I did watch. He was kind of just our third best receiver. I felt like at times, but again, you bring back Taylor Moore, who's your sixth-year senior. He's supposed to be your leader on offense, and I thought, although he had a big fourth quarter drive there, and then he fumbled on the same drive where he was going to lead us to the end zone or out of field goal range for Matt Dennis to hopefully try there to kick a field goal to win the game. And then he fumbles, and then your other veteran receiver, Donovan Green, doesn't even fall on the wall, just kind of just slides to it, and UVA gets the ball back. Luckily, we stop him, but they pin us back deep because Taylor Moore lets the ball bounce and it goes down to our 1 yard line. So it's just stuff like that in the fourth quarter where we're not learning from previous mistakes. We're not being a smart football team. We're just playing soft. We're not playing aggressive enough. And I think that's kind of I think that everyone who but yeah, I mean, it just feels like you would have learned a lot from last year, and it's like the same guys. It was like Morin, he was here last year. Donovan Green was hurt last year. He was on the sideline for a lot of the season last year, and a lot of his career at Wake Forest, he's been hurt. Let's be honest. But I mean, yeah, like it's guys who you wouldn't expect to make the mistakes are making the mistakes. Devontae Gordon, big time holding call on one of the drives in the fourth quarter that I thought really hurt us, because actually it might have been on that I think it was on that last drive, because UVA gets pressure to the quarterback, something that Wake Forest can't do, and I mean, again, I don't really fault Gordon because he kind of had to. There's two guys that are going on getting pressure on Hank Bachmeier, and one of them was Gordon's guy. Bachmeier ultimately completed the pass for, I think, what could have been a first down, but it comes back because of a hold, and the clock runs, and it just wasn't good. The O-line, again, same problem as last year, just not good enough. Horatio Fields, I think, has been our best receiver this season, which is kind of what I thought. I mean, he's such a monster, dude. I mean, he's 6'3", 205, can run with anybody, I would say. He reminds me a little bit of A.T. Perry, and I hope he stays another season. He's a redshirt junior. I hope he doesn't transfer. If he didn't transfer last year, he could have transferred last season. He really could have. He could have gone to another team in the country and probably got playing time. Maybe not, these elite programs, but he could have went somewhere else and gotten a whole lot of playing time. And I mean, he could have went elsewhere again, and gotten good playing time. I'm not really sure where, but he could have went maybe to like a Wisconsin or something, like some place that could have offered him pretty good money. I mean, Wisconsin, I'm sure, is making good money in the Big Ten. He could have played SEC football somewhere. This guy could have left for somewhere else, and he stayed. And he's been our best receiver this season. Micah Mays is going to be a monster. This guy, he's got unreal potential and unreal speed. And like Deuce Alexander in the same boat there. So, surprisingly, our receiver room is stacked. To me, it's one of the best. I don't say in the country, but it's a pretty daggone good receiver room / elite in my opinion. Just my opinion here. I think your worst receiver is Walker Merrill, and he's not even supposed to be. He's getting too many snaps. But again, I mean, you know, I can't fault them for bringing back Taylor Moore, who's the sixth-year senior. You know, he's the old head on the team. He's kind of just, he's supposed to be the leader. Cost fumble there at the end of the game hurts. I understand that. You obviously want Green to dive on the ball to pick it up or kick it out of bounds. Just get the ball out of play. Just get the ball somehow. But yeah, I mean, I think that these three, if they all stay next year, I believe that it's going to be an elite room with Don Green. Seeing that he stays for however many years. I thought that Harry Lodge, or whatever his name is at tight end, is a good tight end. Cam Height is leaving after this year, looks like. O-line still the same problems there. On the end, Justine Davis, he's done after this year, is probably going pro. Same with Devontae Gordon, and you know, I hope they do. I hope they go pro. They're great guys, great teammates, great players. Carrington Lee, I think, will be a solid player for us in the future. Kevin Porter Jr. is also leaving at the end of the season. So it's like, this team, yeah, they have some young guys playing big-time roles, I feel like, on this team. But you also have some veteran leaders on the team that you've had here for 4+ seasons now that should understand what it takes to win at Wake Forest. And Wake Forest isn't a team that's going to go out there and get a Travis Hunter, get these 5-star players that want to play for rich programs. That's not Wake. Wake is a team that's going to develop players, and most of these guys all these guys are developed. I think our highest recruit ever is Donovan Green. Actually, he's a 4-star from Mount Airy. Him and Horatio Fields, I think, are the two biggest recruits that Wake's ever gotten, I believe. Oh, and Jeremy Hecklinski, freshman quarterback from Georgia. Guy's a monster. But I mean, it's just uncharacteristic from a Dave Clawson team. I mean, it's just been uncharacteristic in my opinion. The Dave Clawson teams that I know of from my life are these teams that went to bowl games. These 2016 to 2022 teams that just kind of defied all odds, and they kind of just play together and they play tough, and they just, even though the defense sucked, they score more points than the other team, and that's what you got to have. Yes, they went 7-6 2 of these years. They went 8-5. Other 3 seasons there, but 8-5 for us is like 11-0 for other teams. I mean, that's just an amazing season for us. We go 11-3 in 2021. Obviously lose in the ACC title game there to Pitt. But then you come back, big expectations here for 2022. Starts out amazing, and then they just falter. And I think some of that comes from Sam Hartman and his big games. But again, like these guys who are the 4th and 5th year guys, they've been here for these 4 to 5 years, and we've been relatively good. I mean, some of them came in 2019, and you know, they're freshmen there. They saw 8-5. They also saw a 4-5 COVID year, which COVID year gives them an extra year. They saw 11-3. They saw 8-5, and they saw 4-8 last year. So it's like they've been on winning teams to see what it takes to win. And we're falling into the same old dull routine and the same old trap we saw in 2023, where yes, there was injuries. I understand that, but offensive line was terrible last year. Defense was surprisingly good last year. The first time the defense has been relatively solid in a long time, and they were solid last season. But now this year they can't get off the field in the 4th quarter. I mean, they played good, I felt, up until the 4th quarter, and then they just get absolutely destroyed in the 4th quarter. I mean, Capone Blue got babied all game long. Nick Anderson, I still think played a good game. Ended up getting absolutely bodied by whoever their running back is. Pace? Yes, Kobe Pace, who I mean I think I think Virginia has some dogs. I mean I truly do. I mean I think that Anthony Colandrea is a solid quarterback, even though his accuracy is a little bit was a little bit wavery today. I mean I think he's a solid quarterback. I think Kobe Pace is a good enough running back to be on a good enough team. And you also have Malachi Fields, who's a stud. Chris Tyree, who I would say is good. I just only really heard Malachi Fields' name tonight, and we couldn't stop it. We just couldn't stop it, dude. and it's just a game that you just shouldn't lose. I mean, you're up the whole game. You dominated you dominated the whole game. Let's be honest here. Outside of those 10 field goals that you had to kick, you dominated the whole game, and you just couldn't get it done late, which is ultimately what's going to hurt the season. I feel like is putting away teams, and they should have put away in the third quarter. They had a chance to do it in the second and third quarters, and they just didn't do it. They just let Virginia hang around. Yes, they went up by 13 going in the fourth, and you kind of thought that it was gonna not be easy per se, but you kind of thought that it was gonna be, you know, well, I don't know, it was gonna come off wrong, but like you kind of thought that it was gonna happen. You know, a win was gonna come. I mean, you just kind of thought that because you're up by 13 points. Virginia couldn't stop the offense. Virginia couldn't stop Wake. It felt like all game. They couldn't. It felt like Wake could kind of do anything they wanted, especially in the passing game. I thought that the passing game was amazing tonight, but then again, for the fourth quarter just changes a whole lot of things, and I feel like the fourth quarter is going to be what kind of lives in a lot of Wake fans' heads tonight, because it was a terrible fourth quarter. The first two quarters were good, but the fourth quarter, the quarter that you got to win, you didn't win it, and Virginia won it tonight, and they won the game because of it. I mean, the defense got a big 3-and-out in the last 2 minutes of the game after the Taylor Morton fumble. The defense got a huge stop, and their punter pinned us back at the 5 because Taylor Morton let the ball bounce. I mean, it was an awful punt, it looked like, but the ball took a wonderful bounce from Virginia and rolled all to the 5-yard line. I think it bounced from the 30-yard line to the 5-yard line. Maybe it was the 25, 20 to the 5, and it was just, I mean, it was an awful punt that turned it into a really good one. And I think our first play out of that was, I think it was a broken down play, and Hank Bachmeier got sacked. And it's like you just can't get sacked in that position where the clock is against you under a minute to go in the game, no timeouts left. You just can't afford to have the clock running, and that's probably one of the worst mistakes I thought Bachmeier made tonight. I feel like you have to get rid of that ball right there. Didn't do it, and then we ended up getting a first down on the next play. And then, but then the clock is at 30 seconds at this point, and you're only at the 15-yard line, so it's like you're not really going to make up 85 yards in 30 seconds. And then you get the costly holding penalty on Devontae Gordon, which set us back. The clock kept running, and then just didn't have it there at the end of the game. And really upset with Jamari Glasgow and the rest of his secondary for just getting worked in the fourth quarter. I understand they're gassed. They're on the field a lot, but Jamari Glasgow just had an awful PI call late in the game too. It was just right in front of us, just terrible. Overall, Wake loses. Just want to come on here and just talk about it. I had to vent to somebody. I couldn't just sit up here and just keep it in. We didn't play a game. I wanted to play a game, but we didn't play the game. We'll see, I guess, how it goes next week. We're playing Ole Miss. I'm not expecting much. I'm not expecting much against Ole Miss, NC State, or Clemson, or Miami, honestly. Those are the 4 games where I'm really not expecting much from this team, which is sad to say. I mean, whenever we scheduled Ole Miss, it was back whenever we won 11 games, I'm pretty sure. And, you kind of thought that you're building something special here at Wake Forest, getting these guys in here who want to play Wake Forest. And then the portal and the NIL kind of just became a big part of college sports and college football especially. And it's kind of just, I don't want to say it's ruined Wake, but it's definitely taken away a lot of things from Wake. And it's just not really an excuse anymore because you just got to adapt. I mean, you have to adapt. I mean, look at Duke. Duke, for example, is spending money on the football program. Yes, they lost Riley Leonard and they lost Mike Elko, but you bring in Malik Murphy, who is supposed to be a stud quarterback. They still have Grayson Loftus, who destroyed Wake last season, of course. And they still have Jaquez Moore. They still have most of their core from last season that was a good team last year. Granted, they have a new coach now because Elko left to go to TMU for the money. Right, and then after that, Riley Leonard leaves to go to Notre Dame, much like Sam Hartman did to Wake. But still, I mean, I feel like Duke replaced Leonard pretty well with Malik Murphy. Florida State even, I mean, yes, it is Florida State. You know, they have the money, but you bring in DJU, who had a great year at Oregon State last year. He's terrible, but you know, they did that. Clemson is and Clemson is another team that just refuses to go into the portal, and look at them. They're terrible. Clemson's not a good team anymore. And it's because they refuse to go in the portal. And I feel like Wake is kind of, I don't want to say Wake refuses to go in the portal, but I mean, you did bring in Hank Bachmeier from the portal, and you also brought in Capone Blue from the portal. But that's all I know that you brought in. I don't know who else from this team came from the portal, really. I mean, I think that most of it's all homegrown talent, which is what you need, yes, but you also need to get a couple of guys from the portal who are going to make differences on the team. And I do believe Bachmeier is the best quarterback that we could have had and could have gotten. And I feel like he's a great guy, you know, a great quarterback. Look at NC State. NC State got Grayson McCall, who's apparently not very good anymore. But like they got him. He wasn't going to come to Wake anyway because of his, I guess, his grades or whatever. But still, I mean, State brings him McCall. I mean, State probably has more of a budget than Wake does, but I don't believe State's going to go out there and bring in all these guys. Look at Syracuse. Look at Syracuse. Syracuse brought in probably the best quarterback in the portal, I'd say, and Kyle McCord, and he's making a difference for them, dude. Kyle McCord is making a difference for Syracuse. Syracuse is looking scary right now, and Kyle McCord had a great game today. Kyle McCord's making these guys look amazing, dude. I mean, Gadsden is a stud. I mean, he, you know, in the game, but also IRL had a big game today. Syracuse almost choked, but Kyle McCord is the real deal, man. I mean, and Syracuse got him. I mean, that's a big time get right there for Syracuse. But it's like, if these teams come out there and get him, I don't know why Wake can't poach away players and can't pitch players on something. Like even in like baseball, Wake can pitch pitchers. Well, Wake can, I guess, get pitchers in based on their pitching lab, and Wake can bring in players because of their success they had for a couple years there. And Wake's had success in all their sports in the last couple of seasons for Wake Forest standards, but they struggle in football to bring in players, and I'm sure most of it comes from the NIL, because NIL is probably bigger in football, you know, like the budgets and everything. But I don't believe Wake has that low of a budget. I mean, I understand Wake's alumni isn't amazing. However, I don't believe Wake is that far off of a team like Duke, who brings in Malik Murphy from Texas. I don't believe Wake is that far off from a Syracuse either. In my opinion, I don't know if Syracuse has much of an alumni following to feed into programs, especially in like a football. But you know, it is what it is. That's just the life of Wake Forest. Really, is just kind of just getting guys to build and to grow and to develop, and that's kind of what we've, I guess, been lacking for a couple seasons. Ever since like Hardman and A.T. Perry left, which we all knew it was going to be rough to replace that level of talent, but maybe we got gassed by the media and the coaching staff. Maybe not so the media, but the coaching staff, which again is going to gas up the guys because they kind of have to. But 2023 sucked. We didn't really have much expectations for 2024. However, you got to beat Virginia up 14 or up 13 in the fourth quarter. I mean, you just have to. But Wake didn't do it. We move on to face Ole Miss, and we'll be back next week with another recap of the game. We'll see how it goes. But y'all have a good night, and peace out. We'll be streaming again sometime soon, probably Monday, but we'll see. Actually, maybe tomorrow morning if we're playing online Dynasty game against Clemson, but we'll see. But y'all have a good night. Y'all get some rest.